9 o'clock here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. How's it going? Traffic so light this morning. You know,
easy breezy.
If you do have to go to work today, put in a half day or something like that.
You'll get there
It was
quick.
like this. It was a very nice drive.
For now, though.
For now. Look
Yeah,
who's
we get.
back.
No, so Majestic was giving all like the best and worst times. According to AAA, really after 11, things exponentially start
Yeah.
to pick up. So
Yeah.
just so. But right now, it's
That's
a sweet
the rush.
spot.
It is. It was fantastic. And we're in the, I don't know if we're in the sweet spot for weather.
And it's the final spot.
It's the only spot we have.
Yeah, because the reason why I say that is after today, we are much colder for the foreseeable future. But let's focus in on the sunshine. We have been waiting on it. It is not a great start to the day, but we're now starting to see those bright spots, a little bit of that Carolina blue starting to come on through. Really seeing it right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Pretty.
Yeah, really nice compared to what we had a couple of hours ago. But as you can see, temperatures right now still 62 degrees. We officially dropped down to 60 degrees for today's low, but that is only temporary because a cold front will continue to cool us down late day. So we're actually going to hit our low for the day likely around midnight. But yeah, this would be a record warm start if that were the case in the scenario, but not the case. But for the afternoon, should have an ample amount of sunshine, more blue sky than clouds, and it will be a windy day as well, seeing some gusts get up to around 25 miles per hour at their peak. But because today stands out from all the rest, I made it my pick of the week.
What?
All right. I know I've been off the last couple of days and came back just in time. But no, I'm being serious that you will miss not taking advantage of this day. And then I know that I can be over the top sometimes when I'm saying, don't take advantage of it. Come on. Today is that day because we're going to see a significant drop off. Because here, check this out. First off, when it has felt like has been mainly October-like. But look at the difference. 73 is more typical for the middle part of October, and that's where we've been dancing. Even this last Saturday was actually the second latest 80-degree high that we've ever had in Charlotte history. This has been historic. Today's actually closer to a record than not. But then after today, we're down to 54 degrees, which is more typical for the last days of December, and the 40s are more typical for the middle of January. So yes, you're going to have a big drop-off, and some of those days also have rain. Rain in the 60s is chilly. In the 50s, not great. When you talk about rain in the 40s, it's not really a good case and scenario. Speaking of rain, though, we do have a few showers that are mainly left over, well, east of Charlotte. It's mainly over in Anson, Richmond, and Chesterfield County that I think over the next 30 minutes you might have a passing shower, and then we're good to go. Because as you can see, our future cast is going to clear things out really nicely. So I like, in general, where that's going. Any of you two turkey trotters?
No, we talked about this beginning of the week. Wish we could run.
No.
We're not into running.
I
No.
would rather just, I'd rather get up and make a Bloody Mary and watch the dog
That's
show.
awesome.
Yeah.
More of my trot. I trot
To the
go
kitchen.
to the kitchen and make a Bloody Mary.
I'll wash dishes.
Hey, do you know what? I am proud of every single one of you that get up and do this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But there,
I will cheer you on.
there are some disgusting things I would rather do before this.
Right, same.
Yeah.
All right, we're all on the same
You're all on the
club.
same page.
We're not
But
trotters.
again, power to you
Yeah.
if this is how you start off your Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's a genius idea.
Yeah.
Especially if you have somebody at home that's already cooking the turkey in the oven. But yeah, the shoes represent the main times that there's going to be racing, and that's really from 8 to 9 to 10. Notice temperatures in the upper 30s to the mid 40s. Actually, by the end of it, that's perfect running conditions. If you're a runner, you know about that. I'm not. I just study things.
I'm going to walk like the turkey. I would do that.
See,
Yeah.
the after, yeah. I wish that the sun didn't set so early because then you have a chance. But most people, you guys probably already talked about this. What time do you eat turkey?
I like 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, sweet.
I think it's right around 2 or 3.
I feel like my family back home and my new family, we aim for 2, and it does not end up being 2. Yeah, all of a sudden it was just like, all right, well, it just depends. But yeah, no, it's still going to be a really nice turkey day because I have my turkeys helping me out here. We got the turkey off in the distance. We are not great at turkey sounds. People probably turned it. I hope somebody just turned it on and they heard.
We would not be pardoned.
No, we would not. We would be the first and the opposite. Oh, man. But as you can see, we have chili turkey by the early morning hours and when the sun's rising up. We got the sunglasses turkey for the middle of the afternoon. And then we also got whatever that
That 8
turkey's doing
o'clock
on the
turkey
right.
doing.
Yeah, that's
That's Bloody
tryptophan.
Mary turkey.
That is dozing off.
It's also going to be a breezy day as well, so I just wanted to mention that in general. So happy Turkey Day to all.
graphics.
Yeah. Oh, my
Adorable.
favorite time of year is because I love those turkeys.
Yeah.
Getting it out and
They have so
plus
much character.
they do. Yeah, each one has its
Has a
own individual
personality.
character. One thing to mention is we have a couple of fronts, and that's the reason why we're cooling down. We do have a wind advisory that's for the mountains. That's going to be wind gusts up to about 50 miles per hour. But I think more so it's going to be fluctuating 30 to 40 with a peak of 50, sustained winds at 15 to 25. That starts at 7 p.m. and goes until 11 a.m. for your Thursday. So our Thanksgiving's looking good, but we are trending in a much chillier direction. I skipped over this graphic actually accidentally. I just want to show you how close we are to a record. 75 is the record for November 26th. It's 26, right? Yeah.
Today.
It's
Yep.
26.
Okay, cool. I could have looked at the bottom right of my screen,
okay.
but I just want to interact. But 73, I moved that up a degree actually during our stream. So 75, within 2 degrees of a record. Typically, we should be around 60 degrees. Okay, so now let's talk about the long term. Here it is. Whew. All right, 73 to 54, and I already showed you the 40s just in general, but some of these are also going to have some freezing mornings. So far this season, since June 1st of the second half of the year, the coldest we've been is November 11th. That was Veterans Day. We dropped down to 29 degrees. Tomorrow, we're dropping down to 37.
Oh, no.
We're about to smash it. 25 come Small Business Saturday.
Drop?
Whew. Pew.
Ew.
And then we have a mix of the 30s. Now, note, Our new average low is 38 degrees. The average low during January is 32, so this is not unreasonable. It's really heading into December that we start to show flashes of January, but then sometimes it's all January. Just keep that in mind. We are definitely trending of a cooler variety, which is tough because where we just were was actually almost like a mean trick. So here, I showed you the 1 10-day forecast. Here's the last 10 days that showed you how we felt. So we popped up to 79 twice, 80 degrees once this past Saturday, but we've been anywhere from 66 to 80 degrees
Nice
over the last 10
squiggle.
days. Huh?
That's a nice squiggle.
It's like,
Yeah,
it's very consistent.
Exactly.
That's what you want. But as you can see, that's more in the October range. We've barely felt like November over the last 10 November days. So this is going to be a big shock and awe to the system. Also, what's going to be kind of a shock and awe is the rain when it moves in under colder temperatures, because the 40s are chilly, but if you add moisture to it, it's not going to be great. So our 10-day rain chances show a little upgrade come Sunday and Sunday night, and then I think it's really going to be Tuesday that is the big weather highlighter. And what really stands out here is anytime you have a 60% chance, which is likely, by the way, chance for rain on day 7 of the forecast, that's significant. So we're already kind of looking for weather impacts. This could be an alert day just for the volume of rain that we potentially could have. And I don't think it's really a big flooding concern. It's just a cold, miserable day that's going to affect anything that you do for the afternoon, anywhere from 40 to 45. The good news is if you see 40 in Boone with widespread rain, that's not dropping down to that snow potential. So we're pretty much getting within the range, but still all very, very cold rain, almost as cold as you can get. So that's kind of a look at for the distant future where we potentially could be. I'm going to wrap this up with our travel circle. This is a 300 mile radius around the Charlotte area. That rain that we had this morning, it's gone. We're going to see a clip of clouds move back in tomorrow afternoon, but then the clouds really start to increase for your Saturday. So the sunniest day will be your Black Friday, still significantly cooler. But then one thing that usually saves us when we're in the 50s and 40s is a sunnier sky. We don't really have that, where the sunshine is going to go into hiding for a few days. Still signs of sunshine on Saturday, but then watch. This is Sunday morning. We do see signs that maybe some wet snowflakes can mix in up in the high country, not Charlotte. And then you have rain that moves in around 1 p.m. What's happening this Sunday? Panthers are back in town. So you could be in the 40s with rain. So Panthers fans, if you are going to that, it is not going to be great. You could get wet, and you could also be very cold. Now, the best case scenario is you're just cold. So that is a possibility. But here's the Tuesday rain that I was talking about. Sometimes you can look well ahead what pieces are on the board. This one looks like it's tough to avoid. There's still some factors that can really fluctuate here. That's why we usually don't go super far out. But I just want to say this is something I'm watching, because as of right now, it's washout potential where you could have almost an all-day rain in the 40s, which is never a good situation. All right, so our favorite 7-day forecast brought to you by the Jerry Hunt Super Center. There's a reason why today is the pick of the week. It stands out. Which one of these things don't go together? The one that is today. So enjoy it. And then 54 is still chilly for a Thanksgiving forecast, but still warmer than where we're going. I already showed you our lows, waking up in the 20s on your Friday and Saturday. We have a little comeback to 50 degrees on Monday before yet again cooling down. Again, not a lot of sunshine heading into next week. So I'm going to end this the way I started. Take advantage of today, or else you will regret missing out on the last warm day that we have for the foreseeable future.
Well, we certainly need the rain,
Yes, we do. It's good things.
Yeah.
I guess, right? There's that. So just enjoy into the week. Where have you been?
Huh?
Where'd you go?
Oh, I
Did you
went
go anywhere?
to Cherokee for the first time.
Oh, how was it?
It was amazing, and I have to say, have you ever heard of Mingo Falls?
Not me.
So I should have pictures prepared. So Mingo Falls is a 120-foot waterfall that you have to go up 150 stairs, and there's a little pathway there. This is really the first time in a while that I've come around a corner and then you see something that really breathtaking in person. Where the pictures that Carlene is looking
Yeah,
at right
I'm
now,
Googling right now. I'm like, the pictures are stunning.
don't do it justice. So we went to Mingo Falls, which the name, by the way, comes from the word mean, because the indigenous Cherokees at the time thought that there was a mean bear that lived there. So it was a historic bear, so that's why it's mean Falls or Mingo Falls.
Wow.
Maybe it was the 160, 150 steps you have to climb.
No, yes, no. You literally have to encourage people because after a while you're like, oof, because it's not just steps; there's steep steps.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a nice little payout. But yeah, no, we went out there and it was one of the coolest things, and it really just opens your eyes to how beautiful the Carolinas are from west to east.
Wow. How long of a drive?
It's 3 hours.
3 hours.
So it is definitely worth the payout for sure. So yeah, we had never been to that area, so we tried it, and it was perfect.
Awesome. Sounds lovely.
That sounds
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Just in time for the holidays and for this cool, cold weather.
I'm ready for it. I'll be back tomorrow.
And we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Thank you, Chris. And we'll be back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time is 9:15 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to bring you some breaking news. This is out of Hong Kong. A live picture right now where a major fire is working its way through this high-rise tower in Hong Kong. Started Wednesday afternoon, and this is now in the overnight hours there. Live pictures right now where, according to the AP and NBC News, 13 people confirmed dead. 5 others were injured, 3 of them critically. The cause of the fire is unknown at this time, but it seemed that it started from some kind of bamboo material that is common in that part of the world, used on the outside of the housing complex. And these flames definitely worked their way up across several floors in this high-rise apartment building. As this is an overnight scene now, you can tell that it was just a major fire. I'm also reading that 100 firefighters were on scene. 1 firefighter confirmed killed. 1 of the 13 killed is a firefighter. So we will continue to monitor things there as a cause of the fire, again, not known at this time. Also in world news, the president says that President Trump says that he is remains optimistic that a peace deal in Ukraine and Russia will be met, but his deadline is tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day. We'll get the latest now from Alice Barr in Washington.
Fresh off meetings on the war in Ukraine between top Trump officials and a Russian delegation in the United Arab Emirates, President Trump projecting optimism that a long-sought peace deal could be near.
We're having good talks. We won't know for a little while, but we're making progress.
That after posting that tremendous progress has been made after an original proposal that was widely criticized for being too favorable to Russia was, quote, fine-tuned with input from both sides.
That was not a plan, it was a concept.
One U.S. official telling NBC News the Ukrainians have all but agreed to an updated peace deal, with the White House saying there are a few delicate but not insurmountable details to work out. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky pointed to adjustments made after U.S.-Ukraine negotiations in Geneva.
That framework is on the table, and we are ready to move forward.
Russia, though, is threatening to walk away because of those changes to the original proposal that initially called for Ukraine to give up a fifth of its territory, shrink its military, and back down from entering NATO, all red lines for Ukraine. President Trump now saying he's sending a top envoy to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with other officials going to Ukraine, while offering this blunt assessment.
Look, this war could go on for years. And Russia's got a lot more people, got a lot more soldiers, you know. So I think if Ukraine can make a deal, it's a good thing. I think it's great for both.
The president adding he would meet with Putin and Zelensky only after a deal is reached. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
An update now on that building fire in Hong Kong. Live pictures, as you can see, this high-rise building. The bamboo material I was referring to that is outside of the building was actually confined to scaffolding. So it's bamboo scaffolding that are erected outside several of the towers as they undergo renovation. But we are learning that at least 13 people are killed. This is several hours into this fire now, and you can see that it is just many floors, several floors as well that are affected. Learning more about the building itself, it seems like it's a mixed-use complex, but at least 2,000 residential units. So a lot of people apparently trapped in their complex or their buildings. And you can see, I mean, the fuel to this fire, how can that be so many hours
it's gonna
later?
Slow down anytime soon.
No, not at all. And then you can imagine the debris now falling onto
Right.
the ground. So
Major city, huge
yes,
population.
this is
that
the
are right on top of each
oh my
other.
goodness, and yeah, it's just pretty much high rises among high rises.
Right.
But officials there say Hong Kong has been under a red fire danger warning since Monday. So, you know, embers and flames just caught onto one floor after another. So many questions at this point, where we're hearing, again, at least 13 people confirmed dead in this major high-rise fire that is in the northern part of Hong Kong. All right. Wanted to just clarify the material there with the bamboo. Not the building itself, just the scaffolding, but enough to burn several hours into the night. And we'll be right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 9:23. We know that Irina's law passed, and it is going to take effect starting on Monday. Of course, Irina Zarutska, the young woman killed on the light rail back in August, started this whole public safety concerns and initiatives to pass laws. So now what it would require is ending cashless bail systems for certain violent offenders, and requiring stricter conditions for pretrial release, among other things. Sheriff McFadden speaking out after Irina's law passed. Let's go to this from yesterday here on WCNC Plus.
Most of these going to be from paper. And what I mean, they're speaking from an aspect of paper and function of the criminal justice system. We're going to be functioning 24 hours a day. It's not 9 to 5 to us, and it's not paper, and it's not numbers to us. These are going to be people's lives that we are going to be entrusted with even more. The main part is that we're going to be the main corporate of all of this in 307, and of course it was created because of a stabbing on a on the light rail and the law. We had no input, no input. We're never invited to a meeting to even think about how could this work through our system. So we're just coming on the tail end of it. So the current state of the detention center is those numbers going to change. Each time you see 1560, now it is 1580. We fluctuate every night. Between 75 people coming in and 50 going out. And that's the fluctuation of our detention center on an average of every day. We cannot tell Pineview, Matthews, Mint Hill, and anybody else how to not to arrest somebody. So they're going to be in and out of the facility. A lot of times we don't understand when we talk about logistics. Everybody in our detention center can be housed together. It is by classification. And classification sometimes is a very big burden. Also, we're going to talk about the jail capacity. When you heard Mrs. Harper say functional capacity, we're at 85% functional capacity today, but we are 99% operational capacity. So this is why you may see the issue about the word stacker bunks. Stacker bunks is where we have to put people on these bunk beds, and their families will call in and say they are sleeping on the floor, but they're not actually sleeping on the floor. They're actually on what they call a stacker bunk. Okay. So on the capacity challenge and the guidelines, we don't have guidelines. We don't have any guidelines on how this is going to work. We can hear what they're going to do outside of the detention center, but what are the guidelines inside the detention center? We were not given any guidelines for inside the detention center. At this time, of course, we have 73 people on what they call stacker bunk. Again, that is people that are sleeping on a cart mattress style bunk. So when people say that they are on the floor, they're not actually on the floor, they're on a bunk. And the reason that they're on the bunk, because of capacity, operational capacity, functional capacity, and also classification. And of course, that is a problem because we're going to hear from a lot of people calling us. Staffing and mental health. We believe that we can handle the mental health part in providing this resources, but do we have enough staffing to provide the resources? We have enough staffing to provide the current resources now, but we know that it is going to increase, and will we have enough staffing to help our men and women who are coming to us broken, confused, and mental health challenges? We have a great mental health staff, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. And here we are. And so, believe it or not, we created the first mental health pod in North Carolina with no additional fundings. We just created it. When I came, we had 1 year for men, 1 year for women. And it was very successful in dealing with mental health before it became popular. We would deal with it in 2019. And it really, really worked. And the state of North Carolina then asked us to do a little bit more. I think that a little bit more, and this is the little bit more, the RISE program. The RISE program is restoring individually, safely, and effectively. So in the middle of COVID, the state of North Carolina came to us and said, hey, Sheriff, since you did such a good job, or your staff did such a good job on mental health, can we do an experiment? So the experiment was taking on a 25-bed unit to deal with just the people in Mecklenburg County, only in Mecklenburg County. And we dealt with them so successfully, now we have what they call RISE 5.0. I dubbed the name 5.0. So what the RISE program does now for us in Mecklenburg County is, well, that's one slide, a couple slides missing. So what they did with the Mecklenburg County now, that 36 other sheriff's offices in North Carolina now can bring their persons who are mentally challenged to the Mecklenburg County Detention Center for service of mental health before the law started. So what does that mean? If I was another sheriff and I had all these problems inside my detention center and don't know, and I didn't get any additional funding, I don't have the staff, and I definitely don't have the mental health staff to combat what the state has put on us because of this new law, why don't we just send them to Mecklenburg County? Why? We've already signed a contract with them previously before the new law came, way before the new law came. So we have a contract with 36 other counties, sheriff's offices, who now can send their people to us to restore their capacity so they can go to court in their county. I hope you understand that. So we're serving 36 other counties under the RISE program now. And so when we talk about the other challenges, we're talking about recruiting and retention. You have to understand, we do a great job in recruiting and retention, but the way that most people talk against law enforcement these days, young people do not want to come to law enforcement. And also, you're talking about the largest sheriff's office and the largest police departments in the state operating within Mecklenburg County, myself and CMPD, but we also have to compete with the outer agencies, Union County, Gaston County, and all. And we can't, rule out Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and all the other 7 that are in Mecklenburg County competing for the same pool of people. But now we are competing against Monroe because their starting rate is different from ours. And so we're going to also talk about how do we retain these people, but they are going to be pulled away to other counties. The rest processing, which I didn't see a slide for, the rest processing, as they say, it's going to increase. It's going to very much increase each and every day of the demands starting December 1st. But we also have to remind you that we are still fighting a House Bill 318, which is the immigration bill. And so what happens with the immigration bill, after a judicial official, a magistrate, has deemed that a person has fulfilled all of their obligation to be released from the Mecklenburg County Detention Center, House Bill 318 now mandates us to hold them an additional 48 hours. So after a magistrate signs the release, they will be held inside the detention center for an additional 48 hours, and that is going to cause some cumbersome more problems if we're dealing with all these other people that we have to have inside and outside. And when we're talking about IVC orders, we will be responsible for the transportation as it stands now. And additionally, most people do not recognize this, but my deputies take care of people back and forth to the hospital each and every day because of their medical conditions that they have to have treated. So all of that is on top of the law and also the immigration bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm going to ask all the presenters to come back to the podium because we are going to open it up for questions. And as we take questions, if colleagues, if you'll point out whoever you're directing the question to, that would be helpful. Who all has questions? We'll start with Commissioner Dunlap.
Can you do that?
Sure, absolutely. Commissioner Powell, you had some. Did I see your hand?
Eventually.
Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the presumption of success, given the increase of ankle monitors, misdemeanor increase, written findings, increased secure holdings, some impact on county CMPD and county staff, 10 assistant DAs, transportation from jails to commitment or forensic evaluations. Is there any impact on the clerk of courts in terms of more files that you presented? The Chief District Judge indicated that you may be conducting more hearings and jail population going up. So, but no one's, I mean, the sheriff talked about additional resources. Nobody else kind of talked about resources. So help me in those different areas, Judge and Sheriff and Ms. Hopper. What do you see to be successful, if the presumption is to be successful? Because otherwise, we're going to have a perfect storm of a big problem. So rather than just ignore it, is the elephant in the room, you're going to need more resources, and what those resources are, because this is simply another state mandate coming down to the county that we're going to have to fund. So if we're going to have to fund, just tell me now so we can get ready for our budget process in January. So help me.
Well, let me start by addressing something you just said, Commissioner Griffin, about the impact on the clerk's office. Now, Ms. Chingary is here, probably has a better idea of that than me, but I can tell you that I say it every day in court, and I will continue to emphasize that as much as we talk about things we do and its impact on us as judges and our DAs and our PDs and everyone, we can't function without the clerk's office. They do a great job. They've shepherded us through the change to electronic filing. This is going to be another increase on their workload with the additional requirements of when the judges are saying written findings and that processing that paperwork, getting that into the file, making sure that it's documented. As far as needing additional resources, I'm sure Ms. Chingary, I don't want to speak for you, ma'am, but I'm sure she could always use additional resources. But I think the impact on the clerk's office is going to be significant, and because they are a very hardworking staff now. And I think it's going to increase their workload a good bit. I might defer to others on what we see. I think what we see as success is if we can, I don't know how to answer that, Commissioner Griffin. I do think success to me is going to be that we navigate this first few weeks and see how we do starting Monday, December the 1st. Navigate through it, see where we stand. I'm hoping that our judges and our magistrates are prepared. I feel like we are.
All right,
I think
Sheriff?
if I could, I will go ahead.
Funding, we use the word loosely about resources. Funding and bodies. Personnel, that's what we're going to have, funding and personnel. And that is what, to attempt to achieve success. The clerks and the judges all going to have additional issues, hearings, just the hearings alone of his capacity. Like I said the other day, we have people inside Mecklenburg County Detention Center today has been waiting for 6 years, not because of the system, but because of the entire, not just one system, but the entire system. But when I say that while we have to deal with it, we're dealing with the physical person. And so we're going to need personnel and we're going to need funding, because our people who eat inside do not eat the same thing. And you're talking about funding for additional medical, and we haven't even talked about the mental capacity of functioning, to give them the resources that they need, and then transporting them to these additional hearings beyond what we transport now.
And I would just say for criminal justice services, I mean, there will definitely be an increase in need of resources to be able to support this. Internally, as we've been really taking a look and trying to prepare, we do anticipate that, we will need additional resources within the pretrial services unit and potentially within the forensic evaluations unit also, depending on how things depending on how things kind of fall with the IVC process, next year. I think, it's a bit hard for us to really say right now exactly how much more that we would need, or what, how many more positions or things we may need. Because as I mentioned earlier, right now, as the way things are written, it's very difficult for us to quantify the impact. I will say, as Judge Wiggins had indicated, the next couple of weeks are going to be, they'll be exciting. But I think by the time we get to the end of February, early March, where we are at that point is probably going to be pretty close to where we're going to be for the long haul. And so I think at that point in time, we'll be able to really provide some more specifics as to what the resource need may be.
Thank you.
Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone, for your presentation. I've got literally 2 categories of questions that I know cannot be answered here today, and a lot of them have to do with data. So really, one of my first questions is what recourse do we have as policymakers and advocates to fix the glaring loopholes that we see? Because we already know that criminal justice, there are so many injustices that contain racial, ethnic, all of those biases. What recourse do we have now here today to lobby to fix those, or do we have any recourse to fix those problems? That's my first question. I'm not sure who to direct that to. My second question, and please just forgive my ignorance, what is the difference between when CMPD houses and arrests for something versus the sheriff's office? And how do you, so does CMPD do the arrest, but you do the housing of the detainees, or how does that work?
CMPD does not house anyone.
Okay.
We house everybody for CMPD.
Okay.
Cornelius, Huntersville, Matthews, Pineville, Davison. We house everybody. So we are the only people that does the housing.
Okay, that explains a lot. Okay, and then
the policy issue, if you can find a policy that will help fill vacancies, and you find a policy that produces funding, that is what the sheriff need.
Okay.
Policies don't fill vacancies. Policies don't fill funding.
So that leads me to my next question. If we had numbers about, on average, how much it costs based on what you were talking about in the categories for feeding an inmate who has medical challenges or mental challenges, what does success mean? When you said the RISE program has been successful, what does success mean? How many people have been, the fact that we're talking about success and people being incarcerated is just, the oxymoron is ridiculous. But what does that mean? What does success mean with the RISE program? The
Success means that I have half of the people inside my detention center. If we cannot tell people not to arrest anyone, but the community has to have an input that people don't continuously come to jail to be incarcerated. We haven't looked at how can we decrease that, and that will decrease my workload, that will decrease their workload, and that definitely will increase the courthouse workload. We have to tap into the community. How can we be a better community and provide the services so people will not continuously come to jail to be incarcerated?
We need to know how much that would cost per person, like how many people. We can give you a number later. Yeah, I'm saying I have a list of questions that I'll just have to email or whatever.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your presentations. I mean, I'm almost speechless about the impacts across the board here. And I know that, we can't function without our clerks. And so I know, like what you were saying. But my question is around, have you guys already figured out mathematically what this is going to look like, because you already know how many folks would, were you able to measure while this thing was being passed, based on your records, what would your population look like at this point if this law had been in place for X number of months. I'm just wondering if you have an emergency overflow plan already, like where are the folks going to go? If it's like 20% more people, 50% more people, I just would love to know if you have a quantifying number on, what you expect.
Let's say, and as I mentioned earlier, it's difficult for us to really, again, quantify and put a number on it right now. What I can say is when we have looked at some different data points at different touch points of the system kind of leading up to this, one of the things that we took a look at was, the number of bookings that have occurred into the Mecklenburg County Jail in FY25. That number sits close to about 22,000. So, again, we know that's what we had last year. But when we look at the provisions within this new piece of legislation, we know that, again, with written promise to appear no longer being an option, with, again, there being a new category of violent offenses that will require people to, again, bypass initial appearance and be booked into the jail. When we look at, again, those individuals that have had 3 or more convictions within the 10-year period,
right.
That's a very significant number. And like Judge Wiggins had indicated, we see that a lot, but it's very hard for us to kind of filter that down through the data sets right now. But so, I mean, it will be upwards of 22,000 individuals presented at the Arrest Processing Center, because again, that was what was presented in FY25.
So are you saying it could double the amount of folks?
I think that's
roughly?
well, I don't know if I would go so far to say double, but we're anticipating it could potentially be significant. Because again, this is really limiting judicial discretion.
Right.
And so again, there are going to be requirements that some people will have, there will be no option but to book some individuals into the jail.
Okay.
I think
before I run out of time, can I just add to my question a little bit, because I don't want them to ding me here. My other question was about the suspension of magistrates and how is that going to affect everything. And so we know that at this point, this is an unfunded mandate that's kind of coming in the middle of a year. But is there going to be any funding? Have they said anything about future funding for the next fiscal year or anything? Or is this all completely being put on Mecklenburg County?
My understanding is the legislature doesn't have a budget yet.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Minor
have, there's
detail.
been no discussion of any additional funding. If I can quickly address the magistrate issue, my hope, one of our top magistrates is here today, Mr. Basil. My hope is that's not going to be an issue, that all of our magistrates and our judges will follow the written findings requirements, which would eliminate the need for the Chief Justice to remove or start removal proceedings against a magistrate. That's my hope.
And we will get back to that recorded event, press conference between Mecklenburg County leaders, including the sheriff, on Irina's Law that will take effect starting Monday. We're going to come right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here now at 9:47 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We have been following the Mecklenburg County Commissioners meeting following the announcement that Irina's Law is going to take effect starting on Monday. What that means for law enforcement and the particulars of all of the details that is going to be included in this impact. Now continuing for you here on Live Impact News.
Will not be funding. There will not be, from my understanding, no funding coming. If you go back to the 48-hour hold rule for the House Bill 318 to hold a presumably undocumented immigrant for an additional 48 hours at the cost to the Mecklenburg taxpayers at $398 per hold, that cost is on you now. So we're not looking to get a cost. When you're talking about numbers, when this law was mentioned, only mentioned, our population went up 118. At just a mention of it, went up 118, and it was the highest that it has ever been, as me being sheriff, at 1609. That's 1,609 people being housed inside a detention center. So that's just a mention of it that caused that increase.
Wow. Commissioner Meyer. I'm coming around.
Thank you very much. That was my big question, was it being an unfunded mandate. I just really want the public to understand, and I just want this to be honed in on, that we're being forced to do all this without money from the state, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so I'm assuming that in our as the budget cycle starts, this is going to be something that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing your request rise a little bit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make.
I want to mind you, of course, today we're discussing this House bill legislation and the fiscal impacts. You're kind of shifting to the fiscal discussion, but be mindful that you're going to have other competing needs as well to support your priorities also. So I just want to manage your expectations and be mindful that as you provide feedback and direction and guidance, that this is just one piece of the larger pie as well. So,
Thank you for that. I 100% agree with that, because I mean, our priorities are going to be cut into because of this. I just really want the public to understand that. Sonia, on slide number 6, it says the judicial official is required to consider defendant's criminal history, not just a record of convictions. So right now, it's just a record of convictions?
So yes, and I can defer to Judge Wiggins with that, but currently, yeah, a judicial official takes in consideration the prior convictions of an individual. This here requires to take the entire record into consideration, which includes times that a person may have been arrested, but there was no conviction. So even if an arrest was made and the charge was dismissed, that still has to be reviewed as part of the record. And I defer to Judge Wiggins for.
Well, Monday, I handle the domestic violence first appearance and I cover first appearance, good amount of judges that cover first appearance. It is not, there are factors that are considered outside of the convictions. For instance, if there's pending charges, in other words, if someone has been arrested on a charge and they pick up a new charge, that's usually the district attorney, and it'll be on the pretrial report that they have these X number of pending charges. I think most of our judges, including myself, take that into consideration now.
Okay. And what about requiring a defendant's housing situation to be considered? If the person is homeless, I
don't think that. I think that's typically discussed. That particularly now that we have an advocate in the courtroom in the public defender's office, they'll mention that the person is potentially unhoused. How that impacts the decision of each individual judge, I can't answer how they'll handle that in their discretion. I have been always impressed with our public defender's office. When we have someone who's unhoused, we have an assistant PD sitting in court who indicate that they will work with their social worker in their office to help them find resources that are available to help them find appropriate housing.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you. As I listen to the presentation, everywhere I look, I see increased funding requirements. Requiring the defendant to receive an initial examination by a commitment examiner and the arresting officer must transport the defendant to a facility for initial examination. The police department is not here, but I can imagine that is going to have some impact on the police department, and they are also understaffed. I see a backlog happening as a result of these arrests not being able to move people out of the system. One of the things that concerns me now is the fact that we worked really hard for years to reduce the jail population. And so now, as you discuss being at capacity, are we talking about the jail in terms of the space that you can use, or are we talking about our ability to expand capacity based on the facility itself?
Well, we could take, it goes that if we have a room, we have to have somebody in that room.
Right.
So if we have a pod, we have to have a body in that pod. And that body needs to be 4 times because we have 4 different shifts. So each dorm or pod room has to have a body. So when we talk about capacity, we could deal with it, but we have to have the staff to manage it. And so it goes both ways with us. And we do have to look at homelessness, because this time of year, a lot of people come to the facility. We also have to look at what they said, houselessness or homelessness. Last week, we evicted 280 people out of their homes. And so we have to look at that population that is also may come inside with mental health issues. And so all of that, we have to look at the big picture of it. Because Mr. Brown, who was there, when we look at our numbers, if we keep all those people, 618 people had the same diagnosis that he did on that train that day, the same diagnosis. So 680 people inside that building are the same person. So we dealing with all of that. But when these people are recognized now with a significant mental health challenge, they're still going to be in our custody and care.
And the impact of having eliminated one of the 5 ways of bonding, how significant is that going to be?
I don't know that, at least I don't see that being used a lot, the written promise to appear a lot. I think it was used on a minimal basis, and it was obviously used in that previous situation that Sheriff McFadden just talked about. I think the elimination of one of the tools there's no way it's not going to have an impact on the increased population. I think this whole thing is this whole bill is going to well, not retroactively, the whole impact is going to have increase on Sheriff McFadden's responsibilities and the county's responsibilities to house folks.
I think just one thing. I will say the one thing, since you had mentioned the previous efforts to really kind of monitor the jail population in Mecklenburg County. The one thing about this too is it really kind of runs counter to a lot of those efforts. Because here in Mecklenburg County, we've always had a heavy focus on really have had a risk-based system where we're looking at a person's risk to our public safety, the person's risk to reoffend, a person's risk to fail to appear for a court appearance, and so decision-making has always been within that vein. This piece of legislation is very charge-based. And so again, it's just the way that it's designed, it does run counter to a lot of those efforts that have been underway here in Mecklenburg County for nearly 20 years now.
Commissioner Altman.
Thanks to everybody who's here today. Our first duty, the state, the federal government, local government, is public safety. That is our first obligation. And yet, I was just confirming the statistic. My understanding is the state of North Carolina has allocated a paltry 2.8% of the state budget to the criminal justice system. And, Sheriff McFadden said, how do we decrease workload? How do we prevent people from continuously coming to the jail? And we know that a huge part of the jail population does have mental health issues. And so this is really something that we need to think about on a bipartisan basis. We want to be safe, all of us. And we need to do that by having the resources to prevent tragedy. And we also we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. It is more expensive to send someone to an involuntary commitment setting than it is to give people mental health care on the front end. And it's also a lot less humane in terms of wasted, opportunity and aspirations of all of our people to reach their highest potential. So I hope that on a bipartisan basis, we can talk to each other and to our representatives about the need to strengthen our mental health system and to strengthen our criminal justice system, because 2.8% of the budget to provide our most important obligation of public safety is clearly not enough. And I'm very grateful for the additional district attorneys and legal assistants that the General Assembly did allocate, but that's just one dimension of the impact of this law. And there's so many other dimensions that you've talked about today that are not getting any extra funding. And we have no way to meet that obligation. So I guess before my time runs out, I would like to know, if someone is involuntarily committed, is that to a emergency department, or what sort of facility will people go to if they are get an IVC order?
So when an IVC is issued, typically that person will go to a hospital or to a crisis facility. And so that would remain the same here. And I think, yes, to your point, I think there was definitely a significantly missed opportunity for a conversation about mental health and what the needs are with behavioral health in general amongst the justice population. I think, the thing here that is missing is that there is not direction or provisions or resources for the continuation of care beyond the IVC. So when a person is involuntarily committed, typically that's a relatively short period of time, because an IVC is typically issued if a person is in crisis. So if they appear to be a danger to themselves or to other people. Again, even if someone is, they are deemed to be, a petition is indicated for or is issued for them to be committed, that period of commitment is usually a relatively short period of time. And again, unless they're connected with a clinical home or there is a step in that process to make sure they're connected upon upon release, folks still will go without services most likely.
Let me add that when you're talking about the IVC order,
And we will get back to that continuing session, that meeting that is happening for the Mecklenburg commissioners. It was yesterday. Just wanted to get you caught up on what they're doing and how they're discussing how to move forward, knowing that Irina's law will take effect starting on Monday. We'll take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here now at 10:02 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. It is a big travel day. It is a big holiday for families and friends to gather and do all of the fun things that you get to do. So one of them in the Charlotte area is, of course, the parade. It is the Thanksgiving Eve parade. And our Richard Devane along the parade route with a preview here. Previously recorded on the stream on WCNC Plus. Let's play that for you now here on Live Impact News.
A good Wednesday morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. And if you haven't finished your Thanksgiving preparations and everything, we'll understand. But if you have, or if you want to just take a break from them and come on out and see something really special, how about the parade? I love a parade. Take a look right here. We've got one of the floats. There's several others up the street about to make their way here. Maura Quinn, we were speaking with a little bit earlier, she is taking care of some of these last-minute preparations, talking to some of the people who will be taking part in today's Thanksgiving Day parade. Yeah, a lot of excitement here, and we can show you that if you actually are in Uptown, this is the 79th annual Novant Health Thanksgiving Eve Parade, the Feast of Lights, as they say, because a lot of this is going to be coming here. Oh, look at this. We got another float coming by in just a second. If you come back to us live, you'll be able to see it. Slow that down. I want to take a look at this one. This is just one of the, you can drive it by. You can drive it by a little bit. They're just starting to make a nice Thanksgiving theme with some pumpkins. I love this. I love this. And some hay. Hey. Parade day is here today. As we celebrate just another year of this parade, which is really part of a tradition here in Charlotte. Back in, I think, 21 is when they moved it to nighttime. Excuse me, not only nighttime, but they moved it back to the day before Thanksgiving so that the folks could come out and enjoy it. And just like that, we're just talking about some of the excitement that folks can enjoy and see today. Tell us about some of the things they should expect to see as we look at some more video of last year's parade or previous year's parades.
So we have 85 unique units, and that means that these are dancers, these are floats, these are marching bands. We have 17 marching bands, and they're going to be the ACC, they're going to be UNC Charlotte. And then they're local bands from high schools.
The Battle of the Bands, right?
The Battle of the Bands, and so they perform. Each of the bands performs in the performance area, and they compete for prizes, they compete for money, they compete for bragging rights, and they compete for the right to lead the parade. So last year's winner leads this year's parade. This year's winner leads next year's parade. So it's quite an honor.
And just to be able to come out and enjoy it. And by the way, the big news, the great news that we have for everyone, the cost is
nothing. It is free, absolutely free, nothing. It's fabulous.
You get to come out, enjoy with your family. Yep. They're getting ready uptown, as you heard Ben was talking, and we'll have that throughout the day on our website, how the streets will be closed and how you can come out here and enjoy yourself, have a great time. Ruben's shooting up the street. I guess he's waiting for some more floats. You can see a couple more up the street that are actually going to be in the parade today. You can come out and see all this firsthand. There is nothing like enjoying a parade. I mean, parades are Americana, right?
They really are. This parade in particular really reflects who the community is. We have 1,000 volunteers, and they all come from the community. They're all people who've said, I want to be part of this parade. I want to dress up. I want to be a pirate. I want to be an elf. I want to be attached to one of these floats, and I want to go up to the people who are sitting on the side of the road and say, have a happy Thanksgiving. Be happy. This is a great day. And so isn't that great that you have people who want to just come out and say, be happy.
Be happy. Be lit. Be happy. Enjoy everything. We'll have much more throughout the day. I love you. You're the best.
I love you too.
We've been doing this for so long. I've actually known her longer than I've known Ben because
what?
Yeah,
you know
because
what?
Ben
Honestly,
was up with you. Was over at 9 first.
I was going to say I have known her longer than I've known you. Exactly the same thing. That's the crazy thing. And
that's
you know
true. That is absolutely true.
And Macy's might have Hoda and Savannah and Al Roker, but I tell you, I mean, I think this is the twosome that might beat them. Richard Devane and Maura Quinn. That's all we need. Richard, Maura, thank you both. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
What a fun event. If you are going tonight, enjoy yourselves. Bundle up, though. It's going to be a little bit chilly. Let's take a live look right now at the airport. This is DFW, okay, American Hub. So I wanted to show you as a lot of folks connect through there. We're trying to get a shot of Charlotte Douglas. But I can tell you that so far at Charlotte Douglas Airport here in Charlotte, what is it?
22 delays.
All right, not
and
bad.
only one cancellation. Not bad.
Cancellation.
The day before Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Although that
10 a.m.?
that one flight that's canceled.
Sorry. But that also, I should note, that's for incoming and departing flights, arriving and departing. So,
okay. Yeah. Got to take it.
Got to take it. So it's not bad.
All right. Well, very good. So that is what's happening right now. Go ahead and check your flights in your app on CLT. But the American Airlines spokesperson did speak yesterday from the airport, gauging how airline traffic, travel traffic is going right now. Let's play that for you here on WCNC Plus.
Started a busy travel weekend. How's it going so far, and what do you expect the next couple of days?
Well, it's going incredibly well. We know at American Airlines that every flight is important, but we realize that for the holiday travel season, it takes a whole different meaning to travel, and American Airlines is ready to care for our customers during the holiday travel season. American Airlines has its second largest hub in Charlotte. We take great pride in giving access to our customers to over 170 unique destinations in 27 countries and over 670 daily peak departures. That is going to give our customers unmatched access to destinations and flights, and more so than in any other airport or across our network. This travel season, our customers can have incredible confidence in our team. We're expecting just in Charlotte over 8,000 flights, and that's a part of 81,000 flights across our network. That will make our operation the largest operation of any commercial carrier worldwide, and our customers can expect unmatched commitment and service from our team.
And I guess 2 weeks ago, were you worried about how things were going to pan out in travel season with the shutdown and everything? You're probably glad it didn't work out in the worst case scenario.
Sure. So we're extremely happy that the FAA mandated flight disruptions are now behind us. During that period, American took all the necessary steps to mitigate the impact to travel for our customers. I do want to recognize the work of our team to care for our customers during those weeks of uncertainty, and also the teams at the Federal Administration, Aviation Administration, our TSA colleagues, Customs and Border Patrol. They all helped us keep this hub moving and our airline moving, and we're incredibly appreciative. Now with that behind us, and the work that our team did, which I highlight that American led the way in the recovery during these disruptions, and with the actions taken, it's leading to a great travel holiday season for our customers and giving much needed confidence during holiday travel plans.
What message do you have for passengers who, they kind of waited, they put off their travel reservations, not sure about things, about delays or disruptions or the ATC shortage? What word do you have for them? Yeah, it's okay, come on and fly with us. Is it too late to make our travel reservations for Thanksgiving?
It's never too late to get out and travel. Our team at American took all the necessary steps to protect and help mitigate the impact to our customers. We led the recovery during the travel holiday disruptions, during the earlier weeks of travel disruption. And that should give our customers incredible confidence. And certainly now with those mandated disruptions from the FAA behind us, our customers could have assurance friends that we are ready to take care of them and get them to their loved ones, to their Thanksgiving table, or to their favorite holiday travel spot during the upcoming travel season.
Is this the busiest season for you all, and how do efforts look different this time of year than any other?
So Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel periods of the year, and from our flight crews to our customer service agents to our technical operations team caring for our fleet, it's all hands on deck. We prepare for holiday periods like this for an entire year to make sure our fleet is ready, our schedule is optimized to be reliable for our customers, coordination with all of our stakeholders that support our industry, CLT Airport, our colleagues at the TSA, FAA. It's a massive effort to ensure that our customers are safely and reliably taken care of during their journey.
The use of wheelchairs, strollers, baggage carts, walkers, and
you're welcome. Excellent.
All right, happy traveling, everybody. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Back here at 10:15 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. The big story today on this big travel day, of course, is travel. So watch your flights. We have 73 million people also hitting the roads, according to AAA. Walker Lawson is on that part of the story. He will be joining us here on Live Impact News this afternoon. Otherwise, let's talk sports because we're also getting ready for football watching, right? That's part of
Thanksgiving.
That is what you do. You watch it all weekend, starting on Thursday. And unfortunately, Carolina Panthers have a short turnaround because they played Monday night.
They played Monday night
and now
in front of everybody,
Sunday.
in front of the entire congregation. We had to lose in front of everybody.
Yikes!
Lost
in San Francisco.
But
and it was painful.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Sorry.
Painful to watch there.
It was a tough one.
Yeah. He was like, it was difficult to watch too.
Yeah.
And they have another chance, though, I said, at another California team. So.
Yeah.
The Rams.
Yeah, they're back to normal schedule too because it'll be on Sunday. So
back here
it's back
at home.
to normal. Yes.
All right. So with that, A loss Monday night. Usually we do the Panthers wrap-up show, the recap on Monday night because they play on Sunday, but because everything's been pushed today, Panthers lost Monday night. Our Nick Carboni did his show last night, recapping what's going on, all of the missed opportunities, and then looking forward to Sunday. So let's go ahead and play that for you now here.
We should mention Nick and Eugene's show, their little Panthers on the Plus show that I'm a producer
Oh,
of.
yeah, yeah,
That'll
yeah.
be normal schedule. That will be tomorrow on Thanksgiving, so we're a little Thanksgiving treat at 9 o'clock here on WCNC Plus.
All football.
All football.
All cats, all the time.
All the time.
All right, so let's go ahead and get you caught up. Loss, looking forward, Nick Carboni here on WCNC Plus.
We asked ourselves all week, are the Panthers ready for prime time? Well, after what we saw Monday night in San Francisco, the resounding answer to that is no, especially on offense in a 20-9 loss against the 49ers, a game in which the pass attack was putrid like it was against the Saints 2 weeks ago. Welcome to Panthers on the Plus. I'm your host, WCNC Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carboni. John Ellis is always ready for prime time, although he's preparing for drive time down there on Fox Sports Upstate in South Carolina. Also does Panthers pregame on 99.7 The Fox, and you can go visit him at Clutch Bar on Sunday morning before the Panthers take on the NFC West leading and NFC leading LA Rams on Sunday. That'll be a tough one. We'll talk about it. John, let's call it an unofficial Panthers segment called What Was That? So, John, I ask you that first. What was that?
What was that? Well, that sums up many years you and I have been here together covering this team. Yeah, what was that? In a way, I was talking with our friends Mac and Bone this morning on FNZ. They had me on, and I said, guys, this is a lot like the NFL season at large. Every team, with the exception of maybe a couple, so volatile, so unpredictable. Week to week, you just don't know what you're going to end up with. And obviously, San Francisco is a good team. They have a lot of good players on offense. They were depleted on defense. And that was my analysis going into this game, is your opportunities were absolutely there to take advantage. But all the great analysis goes to waste because it's the league, it's the NFL, and all of a sudden you got Ike Ekwonu struggling at left tackle against Bryce Huff, of all people, with no Bosa in the lineup. Warner is not anywhere to be found because he's on IR. So you think, okay, you get the running game going, but that what seemed to be a 55-minute drive to open the game, I think, did a little number on Carolina. And perhaps the head coach, Dave Canales, who we just spoke with in his press conference there, maybe it influenced his tempo of play calling there is the running game. That was the stunner to me, Nick. No offense to the coach or their staff, but Rico Dowdle is a very explosive player. He only had 6 carries in that game.
Yeah, okay, so Dave Canales on his Tuesday afternoon kind of wrap-up call from the game the night before admitted to us, yes, I could have called a better game, basically paraphrasing, especially when it comes to the run game. John, we've heard Matt Rule say this, I'm going to run the ball this many times and not do it. How is the head coach coming on the day after saying, oh yeah, you said we should have run the ball. We absolutely should have run the ball more after 9 carries by the running backs. Like, what is the disconnect there, do you think?
You know, I don't know. In that particular game, I think maybe it was a matter of the carryover from Atlanta. I think, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but there was maybe just a mention of that last night by Dave or Bryce that we felt good about what happened last week in Atlanta, paraphrasing here, with the passing game, and maybe that was more of a priority this time around. Maybe there were some matchups they liked in the passing game. I think coaches, you know, you've covered this game for a long time and sports for a long time. They're going to say things, and obviously they're not going to tip their hand. When Matt Rule said that many years ago, we kind of chuckled at it. We could have 30 carries a game, he said, or else Joe Brady's fired is what he meant. And he was a man of his word because Joe wouldn't run the ball like that. He just wouldn't run into a brick wall. In this case, I think Dave is just trying to, you know, do the PR deal, but I think there's some conviction there too. He comes from Tampa Bay. He comes from Seattle. He was steadfast with the run game in both those places, including his 1 year as a coordinator with Rachaad White. Whether it worked or not, Rachaad, I believe, was right around 4 yards a carry. He would bang that ball and make sure they were committed to it, which is why yesterday's game in that environment surprised me. So we're all human. Coaches are human. And I think that was a human moment for Dave to say, you know, I did some inventory. Yeah, we can't let the game get away from us to a point where we forget about our playmakers. Running back's an interesting position, Nick. They're not on there on the boundary. They're not part of the modern structure of offense. You almost have to force fit them into your structure. And all of a sudden, Rico shows up on the scene here 2 Aduba's the guy. There's a component to his game, Nick, that just goes beyond the yardage. There's an energy to his game that lifts others, I do believe. And I think that's what was missing, among other things, yesterday in that game.
All right, so regardless of the run game, John, and you kind of mentioned it in the beginning of the segment, like this was a pass defense to be had by a passing attack that had Atlanta's number one rated defense by some metrics and statistics for a franchise performance the week before. How concerning was it that Bryce Young, Dave Canales, and this passing game could not take advantage?
I want to say it's concerning, but here's the thing, Nick. I don't see trends anymore. Like, when you have a program that's established for maybe 4 or 5 years, and they have an identity, and they have a core, and you see something they do so well go away the next week, you're like, okay, it would be like Mahomes throwing it 15 times for the Chiefs. That's not what they do. With Canales, I think he's trying, it's like a boxing match, trying to just throw a couple haymakers and just see what lands right now. And I think in this case, what worked for this team, and this is just my observation, the Dallas game comes to mind, the Miami game comes to mind, Green Bay. You talk about a great win on the road for fans that are ready to, look off the ledge. Please don't, because this team has done some good things this year, and they still can. The common thread was Rico Dowdle, and I don't want to make too much of it. The offensive line deserves credit, but I just think he brings a different element to this game, and I think when it comes to Dave and his play designs and his structure, the passing game was not as crisp this time around. I think you got to give Frisco a lot of credit. Robert Saleh schemed some things up pressure-wise, and it goes to show you can't always look at all these numbers we look at all week and say, well, that's where you hit them. Sometimes it's about people, not numbers.
All right, John, it just like big picture, it just seemed like a team that wasn't ready for the stage. It made me question whether this current iteration of the franchise will be ready for the stage. What did you think of just the way they kind of came out in this game, a gotta-have-it game to own first place, first prime time game in 2 seasons, and just to look that out of sorts?
Yeah. Let me carve this in 2 halves here. The first half of this pie is going to be the side I agree with that on, that you cannot have those type of self-inflicted mistakes in a primetime game or any game, but especially a playoff environment game on the road where the game is never really out of hand. And when you do sort of the rough math on what happened, a Bryce Young interception that I'm sorry, I've seen all the film I can see for 5-6 years on this team. That's the worst one he's thrown that I've ever seen. You can't do that. The coach didn't put him in a great position there, but he gave him a run option. And then you talk about things like Leggett. His foot goes out of bounds. That's the second time this year that's happened. They throw a flag on that. The catch is incomplete. You talk about the fact that there was a fumble on the ground, and they had it, and it squirts away. The positive is this. They were never truly out of this game despite all of that. And you look at what J.C. Horn was able to do, Mike Jackson, and they're getting no pressure. They've had no quarterback hits basically in 2 weeks, 0 sacks in a quarter and a half, I think it is. 2 quarters and a half, 10 quarters. 2 games and a half, 10 quarters. Long night. But you get the point here.
Yeah.
10 quarters since they've really done anything to hit the quarterback or sack the quarterback, but they're still holding up because they're stopping the run, they're tackling well, and now they're getting takeaways. So on one hand, I'm with you. They weren't prepared. They looked sloppy. Every phase of the game looked out of sorts at a certain point, but they still almost had a chance to win. So I think that's part of the message too. Now this opponent coming up, I'm sure we'll talk about them. I truly feel like they may not lose another game this year, but we'll get into it.
All right. Is the Bryce Young that we're going to be looking at the rest of the year the one we saw in Atlanta or the one we saw in San Francisco? I'm going to pose that to John Ellis when Panthers on the Plus returns. Welcome back to Panthers on the Plus, talking about Carolina's primetime letdown at San Francisco on Monday Night Football. Here with John Ellis from Fox Sports Upstate and 99.7, the Fox Panthers pregame. You can hear him Sunday morning ahead of the Carolina-LA Rams matchup. John, we've got to talk about Bryce Young. It's a wait-and-see year as a possible extension or more likely option year looms. Listen, I mean, Dan Morgan's not running to that pen after the Atlanta game to sign him. Is he running to the trash can to throw a drafted contract away after what he sees from him in San Francisco now with 5 games left on the season?
Nick, boy, that is the big question with this whole organization right now, and I think we can pretend like it doesn't exist, and I'm certainly one of those that feel like let's not hot take this one to death, but we're getting a little long in the tooth here. We got fifth-year option discussions coming up, and I'm not so certain that's going to happen. And here's the thing with Bryce Young. My goodness, he has shown some flashes. The Atlanta game was outstanding. He should get credit, and it shouldn't be diminished that he always just wins in Atlanta. Now, you go to Green Bay, and he's banged up in that game. He's operating at a high level late without anything to do with the passing game in terms of audibles, checks. But let's be honest, that's all sounding great and cute and technical. You got to stop throwing for 128 yards, 148 yards, 165 yards. I don't want to sound like a meathead here, but we need some 200-yard games from him. Some fundamentally consistent games. The thing with Bryce early in the season, we struggled again out of the gate when you're talking about Jacksonville. Slamming the tablet, getting frustrated. And then week 2, he fumbles on the first play of the game, basically. Now, they almost come back and win. I think there's value in that second half. But throughout this season, it's been less about him and more about Rico, the running game, developing Tet, and the defense stopping the run with special teams being great. I don't want to get away from that. I was talking to Billy Marshall about this, and I said, you build this team to be quarterback-proof. I think that's what Dan Morgan's trying to do. He played for a team that was very much that way, and Jake Delhomme walked into a good roster and made it even better. I think that's what they're trying to do with Bryce here. Take it a little bit off his shoulders, I would hope they would, and not make it all about him. Dave had talked about that when he took this job. We don't want Bryce to feel like it's all on him, and I think the roster construction has been great. Bryce has to do his part now. He needs to be a number 1 overall pick, level player that elevates others. That Atlanta game is a little bit extreme, but something in between what we see on a week-to-week basis and that is the sweet spot.
All right, on the positive side, John, and with as many guys as they had to mix and match in there, how impressed are you with Ejiro Evero's performance with this defense this year, especially on Monday Night Football?
I'm impressed on many levels, and A.C. Carter, Jonathan Cooley, a lot of people on that staff deserve a ton of credit. That secondary, one of the great things of watching that film last night, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. They were swarming. It reminded me so much when Wilkes took over for Rule. They went to Seattle. They picked up Geno Smith. They're doing things in the secondary right now that just, you can see the confidence in this group. Obviously, we have news about Trevon Merrick. Horn may be out with a concussion. Long term, though, what a great core they have. And Evero, he's been under fire. If you listen to what fans have to say about this guy, he was the reason they gave up that many yards last year. Oh, it's the quarter structure. He's one of the Fangio bros. It's time to go get somebody like Rex Ryan who's going to blitz nonstop. I don't know, man. I think he is a brilliant head coach, or he was a brilliant defensive coordinator, can be a brilliant head coach. He's a great defensive mind with some great influences, and I think this is a great story, among others, that he has stayed the course with his system. They protect, like Greg Olsen said in that game, they protect 6 points, fly downhill and do their thing without blitzing too many.
All right, coming up on 10:30, we're going to take a break now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Back here at 10:32 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we were playing Nick Carboni's recap on the Panthers' loss from Monday Night Football. Sorry, Sturdivant. More on that now here on WCNC Plus.
Done right now. It's impressive.
John, as as pathetic as the passing attack was, as embarrassing as parts of the game were in front of the national stage, and Panthers kind of were the butt of the joke a few times from the broadcast booth and elsewhere, and I'm sure on the Manning cast. 6 wins, 500 the week of Thanksgiving, half a game out of the division. I mean, do you see progress? Do you see sustainable progress? But of course, a lot of that hinges on the conversation we just had about who the quarterback might be.
Yeah, I do see sustainable progress. I do. Look, that's a San Francisco team that people forget is, a 7 or 8 win team right now. They know how to win in winning time. They've been there. Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. Robert Saleh is a great hire. They're doing more with less on defense than any team in the league right now. So that loss, in a way, was embarrassing for many reasons outside of football, including a little action at the end of that game. But I think this season at 6-6, the timing is what I think gets people a little bit peeved. You start to feel like, okay, Tampa's coming back. We're coming on. Don't lose to the Saints at home, and then don't go to San Francisco and play like that. But 6-6 is what it is, and I think the biggest looming question, let's take, for instance, my 15-year-old son, Andrew. The biggest looming question he has is, Dad, this feels great. I've never felt this way. It's a playoff race, but I'm worried about Bryce. I'm like, you're every fan right now. It's sort of an empty feeling in a way because the quarterback regresses and then he shows out and then he regresses. If he can stabilize this thing, the fans will feel better. But I'm going to tell you something, Nick. I've been following this team since 1995. Few are the opportunities to get into Thanksgiving week and have a battle on your hands down the stretch for a division title. It's a great time to be a Panthers fan relative to where we've been recently. So I'll take it.
All right, John, let's play this out as an exercise when it comes to Bryce Young and the potential option year. Let's just presume that he is as uneven as he has been this season for the next 5 games. Let's, not assume he's going to go on a tear like he did last year, although that's certainly possible as we saw. But if Bryce Young continues this unevenness, has maybe one more 200-yard game, maybe one more kind of flash moment, what do you think Dan Morgan might do?
That is a wonderful question that requires a lot of thought.
For Dan Morgan?
For Dan Morgan, luckily not for me. I get to be the fatty in the background looking at all these prospects and saying, oh, no, Billy, oh, Nick, we're doing this again. I think that's the fear I have for this organization, is you have to go through that whole thing all over again. I spoke to somebody within the league this week that's been scouting for a long time, and they said, John, Bryce is not perfect. He's not without his flaws. But there are some things going on there with the receiving core. He's got a rookie and, a guy from Arizona that was outstanding, McMillan, and he makes plays. He's still raw, though. Leggett, obviously, is the number 2. Think of it in the context of where Dave Canales came from. The number 1 was Mike Evans. The number 2 was Chris Godwin. And then they got like 5 other number 2s on that team. So they're not as great as you think in certain spots. Bryce has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. The offensive line has been banged up. And as this evaluator told me, what if you have the Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold on your roster right now and it's Bryce Young? What if Sam is the next Kevin O'Connell project? You could see it from 1,000 miles away, Nick. But you know what? That would be their business, not Dan's, not Dave's. Dave did not draft Bryce. And I have no intel on what their thoughts are, but I have to imagine the play needs to be better than this for them to move forward with a new contract.
All
if
right,
that's the case, quickly, I would look heavily into the midline free agency market at that point, wherever we land up in that sector. It's not a good market this next year, but drafting in the top 10, 15, trading up again, that seems like a major step back, and the draft is so volatile right now, I don't even know where to start.
All right, we could look at all the stats in the matchup this week with Seattle, but I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, John, is the game is at 1 o'clock, so maybe there will be a better performance, not in prime time. We're going to talk about this game and the upcoming schedule to close the season, as the Panthers are still in position to try and make a playoff push coming up. The Panthers play the Rams on Sunday. I just want to get that out. I have Seahawks written down on my sheet of paper, John, maybe because my biggest fear is Sam Darnold comes in here and buries the whole thing around Christmas time. But let's not even think about that yet. First, we've got Matt Stafford playing at an MVP level, the class of the NFC coming into Carolina's house on Sunday. But in the last couple of losses, as bad as they've looked, Carolina's bounced back. You know, it's going to be tough, John, no doubt about it. Do you think they come out a little better in the early afternoon here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Rams coming in from the West Coast?
And again, I bring up the nature of the NFL this year. We've seen so many wild, crazy storylines, upsets, teams you have penciled in for a win, and all of a sudden they're getting beat. Hell, the Giants almost beat the Lions this week with Jameis Winston catching a touchdown. So the larger point is there are very few things that surprise me anymore. Yes, Carolina, I think, can play a hell of a lot better at home, 1 p.m., back in their comfort zone. I don't think the Rams fans travel particularly well, so it should be a nice environment out there at the bank. Stafford, though, here's the issue. This is by far the best team left on their schedule. It's probably the best team they will have seen all year. It's probably the best team in the whole league, in my estimation, because they don't have a weakness. They have a quarterback playing younger than his age would represent right now. 23 tutties, 0 picks in the last 7 weeks. That's unbelievable. Kyron Williams, great running back. The line is solid up front. Nakua, weapons at tight end. And then obviously you have Devontae Adams as just a goal line merchant that can catch 20 fade routes if he needs to. Defensively, where it's at, Chris Shula obviously is going to be head coach one day. It's, for some, a no-name defense, but we know these names. Jared Verse from the ACC, Braden Fisk, Young is a great linebacker, and they get Emmanuel Forbes from Washington off the scrap heap. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level. They just are fast, they're physical, they're young, except for Stafford, and they are a great team with a great head coach. This is going to be a great test, but this is a good way to view it if you are into the angle that I'm into here. It's been a long time coming for this team to get a barometer on where they are, okay? Last night in San Francisco, that was not a very good barometer test. That was more of a, oh, crap, I dropped the machine, and now we can't even do the test. Come in sharp, be prepared, get back home, have a nice turkey dinner, and go out there and play physical. One key to this, they know each other well. Dave knows Evero, and Evero obviously knows everybody in L.A. The schemes are parallel in a lot of ways. That should make it a dynamic matchup. I can't pick Carolina to win this game in good conscience. They could. Anything's possible in this league. They have to play the perfect game, and I hope Rico Dowdle gets a lot of carries in this game to put some attitude back into this offense. Take the burden off of Bryce and let him operate the game within structure. Don't ask him to go out there and throw the ball 40 times. They won't survive it against this front.
All right, John, can a team that's been inconsistent for 12 weeks find consistency after 13? Listen, we know it's going to be tough against Matt Stafford. J.C. Horn likely going to be out. He's in protocol here on Tuesday. Trayvon Merrick, starting safety, he's suspended for punching below the deck at the end of last night's game. So 6 and 7, then going into the bye. You get New Orleans after that, right? Is that the first game after that? I mean, that's kind of an easing into December. Can a team that's been inconsistent find consistency after 2/3 of the season is over?
Sure, absolutely. 2014 is a good example. Different season, different personnel. They were 3-8-1, Nick. They roll into December, and they had an opportunistic window with teams struggling. The whole division was like at 5-7 at that point. They rip off 4 straight wins. That's when Cam wrecked his truck and Derek Anderson came in for a game. They make the playoffs at 7-8-1.
We did QB car accident last year, John. We did that last year.
We're done with those.
No more of that.
No more of those. But nonetheless, I've seen it here. I've seen it with several playoff teams. I've seen the Carolina Panthers of 2003 lose 3 straight in November to Philly, to Atlanta, and to Dallas, and people were in a panic. That team beat one team all season long with a winning record. It was Indy on the road. They were all cupcakes after that. It didn't seem to matter much once they hit the playoffs. There's something to dream of, okay? I hate to just say this because I pride myself on being an analyst and not, a fanatic. If they lose this week and Tampa happens to beat the Cardinals, which is a likely outcome on both ends, Carolina wins 4 straight and they win the division. Do the math. They would be tied at 10-7 at that point at the end of the season because Carolina would have beat them twice. There are avenues still if this doesn't go their way this week. But I would advise them to, if they want to make a playoff run, start by not doing some of the self-inflicted things they did at San Francisco that cost them an opportunity to be in control of the division, because nobody beat the Panthers quite like the Panthers on Monday night. It was a bad display of football, and that goes all the way up to the head coach, and I think he knows it. So don't beat yourself. Give them all you've got, and let it be something you take with you, even if you don't be a playoff team this year. You have that in the bank. You've got that in terms of your memory bank as an athlete, as a player, that you went toe-to-toe with Stafford and company. I'm not overly optimistic with all those players listed as being out and questionable, but next man up. Let's see who can do it. It's not unprecedented.
All right, John, yeah, you kind of mentioned Canales and the way things played out last night. This is my final question for you here on Panthers on the Plus. Is this a team, and maybe 500 teams are just like this, but I think there's a history with this team this year doing this, where they just need to learn the hard way? Is that kind of like, does the coach need to learn the hard way? Does the quarterback and the team overall just need to learn these hard lessons and then go forward and be better the next time out, as they have been the last couple of losses?
Absolutely. Absolutely, without question. You look at the eras of coaches in this organization. Go back to John Fox's first year, which feels a little more like Dave Canales' second. 7-9, but they lost 8 straight in the middle. They had to learn some hard lessons. Michael Vick ran for like 1,000 yards on them alone in 2 games. It was miserable, but they closed strong. They beat Cleveland, a playoff team. They knocked the Saints out of the playoffs. That was a stepping stone. One more example, 2012, Ron Rivera. I'm sure you've done your research on that before you came here in 2016, Nick. That team was stinking up the joint in Cam's second year. There was a lot of talk on talk radio about Ron's got to go. He's got no personality. At one point, I think they were probably 3-7, 3-8. They go on a run, they close it out, they end 7-9, then they go next year to the playoffs, then off to the Super Bowl. That's what you want. You want to get into the month of December in the hunt. That was the goal this year when I started doing the shows at the beginning of the season. Said, let's see this team with a viable playoff shot. They're here. They're right there on the doorstep. The schedule is very hard. Who cares? That's life. You beat the Packers on the road already. You can play with anybody in this league. Again, the Rams are a tough one, but the rest of these teams I look at, including Tampa, not exactly in great shape right now with their quarterback hurt, with their defense leaky. It's a great opportunity to see if they can steal a few. Tampa may slide. If they get in, and it's not impossible, this NFC, with the exception of the Rams, who's the best other than that? It's wide open. There's not a team in that playoff structure that Carolina, if they're smart and they're playing their best ball and healthy, they couldn't go toe-to-toe with. And that's a good thing. That's progress.
John, I don't know if that's brick, but I'm running through it after that, buddy.
Yeah.
There's hope. We're thankful for you bringing the hopium today. But, you know, your perspective on the Panthers, just history is awesome, and current Panthers team is great as well. So find John Ellis at number one, Panther Place. Hear him on 99.7, the Fox pregame. Go see him this Sunday at Clutch Bar right there off of Cedar Street and Fox Sports Upstate. John, thanks for being with us, man.
Nick, I enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
All right, Panthers on the Plus returns next Monday after the Panthers take on the LA Rams.
And that's a good time to take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Back here now at 10:47 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to bring you a breaking news update. This is out of Hong Kong. Looking at live pictures right now where a fire spread across 7 high-rise apartment buildings in this housing complex in the northern part of the Hong Kong suburban area, killing at least 13 people and leaving others still trapped, apparently. This has been burning for several hours now. 9 people declared dead at the scene. 4 others who went to the hospital later confirmed. At least 15 others were injured, and 700 people have now been evacuated to temporary shelters. This complex, a residential area, a mixed use, mostly of 8 buildings with almost 2,000 apartments, housing almost 5,000 people. The cause of the fire remains unknown, but it started mid-afternoon. This is now well into the evening, with the highest level of severity happening after nightfall. Also learned that about 700 firefighters trying to fight this blaze. So officials saying that the external scaffolding, which is out of bamboo, is one of the buildings. It started right around one of the scaffoldings. They're doing some renovation there, but it went to nearby buildings. And obviously this is some wild pictures because it's an inferno. Burning rather, well into the evening. So you can imagine the air quality and the structure of the fire itself, the integrity of the fire of the structure itself has got to be very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So we will continue to follow this, but again, it doesn't seem like any progress has been made. We've been watching this for a couple of hours
2 hours now, yeah.
Here on Live Impact News, and you could see
It doesn't seem like it's letting up at all. If anything, it seems like it's just growing.
Yeah, and we're wondering what is fueling these fires. I mean, it's not even a hot spot.
No,
it is still
it's the whole thing
ablaze. Yeah. Surprisingly, that the structure has not come down yet, because that obviously is a consideration. But with these ladder trucks still, spraying the water, it doesn't look like it's making a dent. It's crazy. But bamboo scaffolding is actually a common sight in Hong Kong at building construction. So where this ends up and how, the casualties yet to be determined, as this is still in the throes of what's happening with a high-rise fire, again, burning in Hong Kong. We'll continue to monitor things here on Live Impact News. Here in the Carolinas and really across the country, the day before Thanksgiving, it is a busy one. Busy travel week definitely underway. So if you are going to Charlotte Douglas, what are we looking at? 1 cancellation so far?
1 cancellation and 30 delays.
Oh, we're up to 30 delays.
Around 11 on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I don't think that's too bad.
Not too bad. Again, we'll keep you updated, an eye on that. Check your flight information because it's a ripple effect, right?
Sure.
So if it's not happening, we are okay weather-wise for Charlotte and the Carolinas, but it's the other areas that we need to watch out for. DFW, live picture there. Looks like it's a nice, decent day as well in the Lone Star State. And with it being a hub to and from Charlotte, a lot of people expected to connect there. So not quite sure what DFW's status is.
I actually just Googled it. 97 delays there at DFW.
All right. So there you have it. So far, some delays to be expected on the day before Thanksgiving with folks heading out and about and visiting all your loved ones. Enjoy the time. 70 million people are also expected to hit the roads, according to AAA. And our Walker Lawson is on that angle of the story here for WCNC Charlotte. All right, we are getting ready. The holiday weekend, right? Today we deal with travel. Tomorrow is a Thanksgiving day. We've got football in the works. We've got all the shopping days you can have. And Shop Small Saturday is one of those days. So I did talk to our friends at Charlotte Center City Partners because they are advocates and partnering with South End Charlotte for a tradition for many, many years, Shop Small Saturday. Here's our interview previously recorded on WCNC Plus. At 9:39, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus on this Monday morning of what is going to be the start, and we are just ramping up, getting into the thick of things for this holiday season, right? So as you think about your turkey dinner, I know a lot of folks are already thinking about shopping. I've seen those pre-Black Friday sales and ads. It's like, are we calling this pre-Black Friday now? Is that going to be a thing? That's going to be a thing, pre-Black Friday.
I don't hate it.
Right? We all take advantage of that. So this holiday shopping season, right, it's in full swing. And this Saturday, Charlotte's South End neighborhood is hosting its Shop Small Saturday event. It's a great one. Joining us right now here in the studio, Brianna Bowers from Charlotte Center City Partners to tell us more about this year's event. Brianna, nice to have you here again.
Thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to talk about Shop Small.
Oh, I mean, so many fun things that happen, and Charlotte Center City Partners is such a great group that helps foster all of these events. All right, so this one, though, in the South End area has been a tradition for what, since 2011?
Yes.
Wow. What makes this year's event, or what makes this event so special?
Oh gosh, it is just the one-stop shop for shopping with all of the small businesses. We close down Camden Road and we line it with over 120 small business vendors. So you can expect everything from body care to pet care to jewelry to clothing, and even more. And it really is just a great way to check off your gift list while making sure that you are supporting some small businesses.
Yeah, I see 120 small business vendors participating.
Yes.
You named some of the items and a lot of unique items too.
Yes.
There on Camden Road. Talk to us about the Holiday Zone at the Design Center. What can we expect there?
Yes, so if you need a little break from shopping, you can step into our Holiday Zone, which is basically all things festive. We're going to have some holiday karaoke that you can participate in.
Oh, say no more.
Yes, Santa is going to be on site from 12 to 3 p.m. so you can come by and get your perfect photo with Santa to use for your holiday card. There's going to be a gift wrapping station, mistletoe moments, and 500 hot chocolates with Shake Shack for the first 500 people to come by the Holiday Zone.
Right.
So we're super excited. All of these activations are brought to us by local businesses such as J. Majors Bridal and Great Star and Huntington Bank, and we are just so excited.
The Shop Small Hero Card Program, what is that about for shoppers?
Yes, so stop by the South End Info Tent. There's going to be 2 near each entrance of the event. There's 2 entrances. So stop by and grab your hero card. What you're going to do is for every $10 that you spend with a small business, they're going to give you a sticker. If you fill up 5, I believe, spots on your hero card, you can exchange that back at the South End Info Tent for a South End tote bag.
Okay, very good. And then continue shopping, right?
Yes.
For folks who have not been to South End before, during a regular weekend, it can be challenging to find parking, all right? It can be a little tricky in the area. What do people need to know about going this weekend?
This weekend, there will definitely account for parking.
Okay.
Make sure that you...
the light rail, too.
You can take the light rail in. It's going to be East-West Boulevard Station. That's going to be your closest get-on, get-off point. Parking will definitely be available. You just need to make sure that you're ready to find a spot and then get out and go shopping, and make sure that you also grab some lunch or some dinner in the area and just make it a full South End day.
Yeah, so many good restaurants there too. So fun just to take the day and walk the little not light rail,
the rail trail.
Rail trail. That That shows you how much I use the rail trail because I'm such the runner. All right, why is it so important to support small businesses?
Oh gosh, supporting these small businesses, it really does mean supporting their dreams. It really does mean so much to these businesses. We hear it every single year. They come back and say just how much being at this event means to them. It's a really huge day for them, and these really are like their dreams. They're building these companies, and it's just so important to come out and really make that connection with those business owners and see their dreams come true.
Yeah, I mean, in South End, it's so hip happening anyway. And so really after Saturday's big event, it would be nice that people continue shopping local throughout the year and eating local, right?
Absolutely.
Brianna, anything else we need to let our friends and viewers know out there on Live Impact News?
Shop Small Saturday is actually kicking off the holiday season in South End, so you can visit southendclt.org, and we have a whole page just dedicated to all things holidays that you can do. You can find where the festive pop-up bars are, anywhere that's having seasonal food and drink, any shopping and events all across the district. If you are really looking forward to exploring the neighborhood for the holiday season, that is where you can learn more about how you can do that.
And Majestic told us the weather should be cooperative. Enjoy Shop Small Saturday. Enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. Have a great time, great weekend. Live Impact News back at 12:30. Have a great morning.